about this play space here. What's, we've talked a bit about at the start that it's big. So what are the other things that it actually has that have built-in risk in them?
So we've got lots of fully grown trees, so that means there's lots of trees for them to climb up with stable branches. Don't get me wrong, there are some weak branches as well, but generally once the kids had a turn at climbing a tree, they can work out what's stable and what's not. So we're lucky in that sense. We've got lots of branches for the kids to swing on and trees to climb. We've got lots of dirt, we've got vegetable gardens, the kids are always getting their hands dirty. We've got lots of bugs and critters that live under rocks, and we've got birds, and we had chickens. What else have we got?
We've got a large play oval where the children are able to just run and just play, have the grass under their feet.
We've got rocks. We got rocks, so they can move rocks. It just gives them the opportunity. I mean, we're quite happy. We get ourselves involved in the whole process. What's underneath that rock? Half the time, I can't move these rocks, but they're moving the rocks.
That's right, and I guess we have a lot of unstable surfaces and inclines, we've got hills, so kids are given the opportunity to, test out their balancing skills or try and work out, see if their body can handle the inclines or how their body can effectively climb up that incline.
Tell me about the baby space, the baby playground. What are the things around that are very different?
Well, there's lots of different levels there. You've got your sand pit areas, you've got different textures, you've got different levels for them to climb up on. They can explore, there's heaps, we've got the dry riverbed that they can just walk through there, and it's just it's
very challenging.
Yeah. And there's so much that we can draw on with them, you're allowing the babies to actually get in there, where are you going to find the babies that, can climb up and over and into a dry creek bed,
Do you think adults need to be with children all the time in those spaces, in the spaces out here?
No, not to the extent that you need to be holding their hand and standing right behind them. I think that they need to themselves experience it. They need to experience what it feels like to fall over. So for example, when the toddlers are walking through that creek bed and there's lots of rocks, and they need to work out for themselves how to judge what rock is the flattest, where can they put their feet. And we can't be there to hold their hand and guide. They need to problem solve, and they need to work out how to train their brain to overcome obstacles
saying that as
that.
well, we need to be there to actually, one, obviously, to supervise safety aspects as well, but you're letting them challenge themselves, but then we can see where we can extend in the program. We can see where we can go from, in particular the insects that, Glenn was having a good old time with today. Finding them under rocks, finding bits and pieces. It actually allows us to draw on our program.
Yeah, so it isn't just about the physical space, it's also about the things that live in there. Yeah. And engaging children in risky or adventurous play is actually being adventurous enough to actually pick up a bug, and often if as adults we are reluctant to do that, what's the message we give? What's the message do we give to children about those sort of things? If you can't pick up a slug and have it sliding over, Glenn, I noticed they had cockroach and we say, oh God, cockroaches, and we've had snakes here and that sort of stuff. But if we are fearful, the message we actually give children is that these are things to be fearful of, and what might the message be if we do that? What's the message we can actually tell children? What do we say to children about?
Well, you're instilling fear. You're not giving them that opportunity. If we're not giving it a go, how do
how we expect them to give it a go on their own if we don't?
That's right. And I'm a classic. I'm a little bit hesitant, a little bit fearful. Not fearful as such of our good old blue tongue lizard that emerges every now and then. Glenn kind of brings it out. But if I've actually managed to touch it myself, so I can actually show the kids, the children, I've managed to do this. So let's try and have a go. I mean, we don't force them by any means, and yeah, I managed to pat our little blue tongue.
But I've noticed after I've caught it a few times and the children have seen it a couple of times, more of the fearful children have been able to then start patting it, and I've noticed that one of the girls is even holds it now, and that's
becoming more familiar with it.
In our space, do we have too many things out? What do we do around that?
I don't think we have too many things. We've got a lot of movable equipment, like the children help us set up. We've got planks, we've got we've got trestles, we've got frames that the children move around. It's pretty much the children get involved. We give them the tools to be able to, use the environment. So, I wouldn't say that we overly put a lot of things out. The environment itself speaks for itself. Yeah. There are certain factors that you really have to keep your eyes open for, but...
What do you think, Steph?
We have, lots of resources for them to extend on their own learning themselves. If they want to go to the shed, they can request that they grab something that they want that may not be set out in the playground, so they go off and grab that and extend on their own learning.
So even in a smaller play space, things like movable equipment, they offer people greater choice or great opportunity to plan different play experiences, do you think?
It does. It's not always the same. You can actually increase some rescue play if according to the ability of the children. So quite often you'll get one of the children say, "Can we put it up a little bit higher, a little bit higher?" Now, obviously, it's you discuss with the children, and it depends on how many children are there at the time as well. Children
like change as well. Sometimes they might get bored with a fixed structure. So they like to be stimulated and they like to be challenged. So it's good to be able to change up equipment if you can.
What do you think educator attitudes are to children at risk?
Educators play a huge role in children's development. Children look up to adults and I guess early childhood educators if you're spending time with them. So you need to be encouraging and positive, and you need to take risks to show them that it's okay, because I'm pretty sure children will just follow suit and they'll have a go too. But if you are negative and you worry a lot about risks and you show children that you shouldn't do that, or that's scary, or you might get hurt, then that fear is going to be instilled in the child. And when that child, it comes across an obstacle like that, they're going to be frightened and they're not going to have a turn. Educators play a huge role in shaping the child's outlook on life and how they see risks.
Yeah, and that's also in shaping the experience that children will have access to?
Yeah.
So what sort of experiences then, because that leads really well into that, would you create in this space? What sort of things are you trying to do?
So we're trying to create, I guess, when we are interacting with bugs and things like that, like we've already spoken about, we're not going to show fear in touching them, and we're not going to say, ew, gross. We're going to appreciate this little bug. We're going to have a look at the texture and the colour of this bug, and we're going to encourage children to do the same and set a good example.
So what other opportunities do you do?
Well, I'm just thinking if we ourselves listen and we observe the children, and it comes from the children, then we know how far that we can draw or extend on, pretty much so. I suppose being adventurous and providing opportunities to explore and allow the children to challenge themselves in what's being created outside.
And is that also like being adventurous as an educated team too? Because I'm going to throw something in here, which is last year around cotton. Tell me about the cotton experience, because that was educators being adventurous.
Yeah, well, it all started with one child who brought some photos in, and they had actually on the weekend gone with their father out to a cotton farm. Now, this boy's father is an agronomist, so this boy obviously knew a lot about cotton because his father had filled his brain up with lots of knowledge on cotton. He came and he showed us photos, and I guess I didn't really know much about cotton either, so we did a bit of research. And I guess one of the other girls, she noticed that this boy was talking about cotton, and she thought, I better bring some cotton in too. So the next day she brought some cotton in, and in fact she brought the cotton in on a branch. And a few days later, another child who also has a cotton farm, she brought in a poster that she had made. So it had items that were made from cotton, it had cotton wool, it had the word cotton. And so anyway, we thought, hey, we have to roll with this. And I didn't really know much about cotton, and neither did the rest of us. So we did as much research as we could. we asked one of the families if we could go there for an excursion, and they said, yeah, bring the bus, come on over. So we planned an excursion to the cotton farm, and it was amazing. The kids had a ball. I think they filled every pocket they had with lots of cotton. They just got the chance to run through the cotton field, through the dirt. We ended up going to have a look at harvested crop of wheat, I think it was too. We had a picnic lunch. We saw some harvesters, I think they were, and some semi-trailers, tractors.
But I think the whole
we were in tune with the child's interests. And
but it was also a risk taking for adults, because it was actually being because actually it was that extension from here, and actually being prepared to actually step out of this space. And heading onto a farm is obviously quite risky. Going on an excursion is risky, and I think but it's one of the things we try and do a lot of. Being a role model is really important. What are your thoughts around that, Grace?
I think, well, being a role model and actually I myself, I've got a little bit of a fear of heights. So I, in the past, have been known to have got myself to the top of the climbing frame and jump off onto the mats, and the children know I've got a little bit of that fear, and they kind of look at me in awe. It's like, yeah, I'm up here. So I suppose if I'm having a go, it actually gives the children the opportunity to say, well, this is okay. You know, if there's something, you know, back to the same old story about the blue-tongued lizard, I was a bit hesitant to touch that too, but if you give it a go and you show the children that you're prepared to give it a bit of a go, I think.
That's it, role modelling just seems to be so important with the children. If you're willing to have a go and join in with the children, more children want to join in and have a go as well, which leads on.
So what do you think are the key elements of a play environment?
I think that the two key elements would be attitude and opportunities. You need to have the opportunities out there. You need to thoughtfully plan so that there are these risks, opportunities for children to take risks and challenge their thinking, but you also need to have the right attitude, and you need to instill that attitude in the children as well, that taking risks is okay.
Involving them in the whole process and working out what we're going to run with, and then saying, okay, this is what we want to teach them, this is what we want to show.
And do you think is it adult-led or children-led, or is it a combination of both?
It has to be a combination of both.
It's a combination of both, yeah.
You can't just run with just the children, because you need to be able to implement and help them with their learning as well. So a combination of both works very well.
And what are the things we think are going to underpin the best outcomes for children in planning for children's play?
Listening to what they want, really. We also need to provide them with the experiences. Not all experiences are going to be there. We need to show them where they are, help them along the way.
Yeah.
Give them the tools, provide the equipment, provide the thought processes, well, allow them to have their own thought processes, I suppose. To which way it's going to, yeah.
Do we have to worry about things not working out?
No, that's part of life. That happens in real life. You need to learn how to overcome failure. So that's a great learning tool for kids to be able to learn.
Do we have to be brave enough to actually fail as well?
Yes, we do. We need to show that we failed, and we have to get over it, and we have to show that we don't give up and we'll have another go. Yeah.
That's a really nice way to end. So thank you very much, Grace, Glenn and Steph. Thank you.
Thank you.